All right, hello and welcome to MTP Boston. Man, what a journey it's been. But the Boston Celtics, your Boston Celtics, are now back in the NBA Finals for the second time in the last 3 years. I'm joined by the normal basketball crew, my guys, DK Sizzle and Money Mike Marcangelo. Fellas, how we feeling tonight?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm really happy that this team got to the place that it should have gotten to. And there were some things that I was super excited about from this series that we'll talk about. But ultimately, I told you all, I think back in March when we all did a show together, just get to the finals. Like, there's no shame in losing in 7. I'm going to alter my take a little bit now. You got to win the whole damn thing. You have to. Like, this is everything that we've been talking about this entire postseason run. This is the year for them to do it. So
Yeah.
we're there. I just want them to finish the story.
We haven't talked since the comeback game, right?
No.
Nope. That was very encouraging. I think like it wasn't even the fact that they came back, it was the fact that I kind of had a hunch they were gonna. Which I think I said on record to you guys, thankfully, so point me, but fuck you guys. But I think like the fact that I had any sort of faith that they could mount the comeback, the fact that they did it when they kind of didn't have to, if we're being honest, like I think you could actually forgive like a championship caliber team, and given the context of everything that's going on, you could forgive in other circumstances them being like, all right, they pulled ahead. It's fine. We're up in the series. We just need to steal one of these at home, and we'll take them back to Boston and beat them. You've seen that attitude really punish teams in this playoffs across the board, and I think it is a thing that certain teams have been able to do in the past. But I don't know, like maybe it's the 20-point lead isn't safe era or whatever it is. You kind of just can't do that anymore. You just have to play all the way through. And I think the additional thing is we've talked about this on the show before. Like the Celtics team, they do hear what we're saying out here. Like you can tell that they are like paying attention to the feedback that the national and maybe even local media is giving to their team, the way everybody's putting them in context, and a lot of the same through lines we've been talking about for the past couple months. And I think that they were like, fuck that, we just don't want to hear it. We just don't want to hear it from these people. Like, let's just win this in 4. And I know that like the expectations are that we like get to the finals, so we're not going to do it to a ton of fanfare. But what I liked is that I could see internally in the trophy presentations a really good mindset, a really positive attitude, a really even team where responsibility is sort of spread across, and a bunch of calm guys, like excited and happy that they're going, but a lot of people that have been there before. And one guy in particular, I know we're going to go on to talk about, Ray, that's been there before and won it. So, to me, I feel the best I've felt all season, probably. I did feel better like going at the end of the regular season because of like what they did in the regular season. Looked a lot more like the last 3 games, what they were putting together this regular season, which is really encouraging for me because I had a good prospectus on that regular season team before they started making a lot of kind of the same mistakes, and the quality of their opposition went up and down. I thought it was really professional finals. And as just one last sort of big picture thing, I like Dallas as a matchup. I do. So, see you guys there.
Yeah, I would echo everything that DK said and that I said at the top. I think one of the things that showed through this series that had not in like the last couple of years is their abilities to perform in clutch scenarios in the playoffs, right? I think that's when how the NBA defines clutch is the score is within 5 points within 5 minutes. And the
Webster's
Celtics
defines clutch as
for all those at home,
the start of a valedictorian speech.
3-0 in this series alone, right? And that comeback game, I gave you all the credit in the world, TK, for calling the victory, because I'm still I think mentally, or maybe just in my heart, when I watch that team and I see that they're coming back, I still just think Marcus Smart's going to come onto the floor and just shoot errant threes, and we're going to lose. But that didn't happen. Like, this team, say what you want about the path, and we have, and people will. You can only play the teams that are in front of you. And this team literally went, what's that, 12-2 in 3 series. Like, what do we?
Yep.
They did everything that they were supposed to do except for lose at home so far in the playoffs.
There was a year where Dr. J was the best player in the ABA, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't the best player on the planet that year too. Just saying. So like you said, you can only play the teams put in front of you. It's like there was a year he was fucking styling on fools, but it wouldn't have mattered. Like any league you put him in. And I think that like with just on talent, I do agree that there's some system issues like from time to time, but just on talent, like I'm feeling pretty good about what we're seeing coming out of the West at this point, because I was really nervous about the Nuggets because it was a big talent like parity with those guys, I think, in a lot of areas. So I agree with you. I'm in a better mood about it now. Mainly Ray talked me around last week too.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on your side for a little bit. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is what I've been saying. Like, once again, I felt like this all year. And yes, I'm glad that they finally, started to validate that a little bit more in this round. But yeah, no, the way they played together, like I said, especially in that game 3. And like I said, we'll get into Jrue Holiday, and we'll talk about individual players shortly. But man, just from the plays that were called from Joe, from just the mindset that they developed, I think one thing I noticed more as well. Mike called out Tatum on this show. Hey, I need you to be more vocal. And he was in game 3 and game 4, when they were down against smacked. It wasn't, oh, let me hide in the corner, as people thought he was doing. He was talking to teammates. He was the most demonstrative he's ever been. And I was like, oh, okay, he's answering the bell now. Now I was like, okay, now I'm showing you not only through my play, but now I'm talking you up. I love that he high-fived Hauser, because Hauser had a horrible series, and that's putting it lightly. But to see him high-five him, to see him encourage him on the court, not just on the bench or in the locker room, I think that was huge. So, yeah, listen, they finally put things together, once again, regardless of opponent. Once again, I think someone said this on Twitter, but I said this on here as well on the show. People spoke about the path and the path not being, or the path being easy or easier. And once again, I want to reiterate what happened last year for the champion Denver Nuggets. They beat 2 8 seeds. They beat a 7 seed. That's essentially what we would be doing this year. We've won. Beat an 8 seed. We beat the 5th seed.
Well,
so what I'm saying. So beat the 6th seed, and then it'd be a 5. So,
yeah, but you're leaving out a pretty crucial fact, is that every team that we played this postseason, their star player was missing for at least three of those games.
Once again, we missed out one of our key players all playoffs too, just about. So it's just like, I'm sorry. And once again, we and I don't want to get back into that, because to me it's it's my thing is when Kyrie missed time, when Hayward missed time, when Kemba missed time, when Jaylen Brown missed time, no one cared about that. No one cared. They just said, well, you're playing, you still got the players out there, figure it out. So sorry. It's just like, once again, Indiana shouldn't have been in the conference finals. If you want to go that route, they shouldn't have been there either. But Dame was out for a while. Giannis missed the whole series. Like, that's so it's just like, sorry, someone called me my bad. But it's just like, yeah. So I'm like, that's crazy. So it's just like, my thing is, if you're gonna bring it up for Boston, bring it up for everybody else. But we're not gonna. Well, I'm not saying we, meaning you guys, but in general, they're not gonna do that because it doesn't fit the narrative. But it's just like, I don't know. Like you said, you play who's in front of you. So you just said.
Can I just say real quick?
Yep.
Like real quick. Shout out to Indy, because you've seen a lot in the NBA over time where a team that isn't as talented gives the more talented team their best shot. More talented team wins, and then they just cave for the rest of the series. Indy gave us their best shot every fucking game. It felt like that. If this series happened last year, it would have been 3-1 in favor of the Pacers, just based on how we played last year. And I just think that that's a team that, if they have, Halliburton stays healthy, they have a lot of pieces there that looked pretty good, that they can be, probably like a 5 or a 4 seed for the next couple of years and give people some fucking fits in the playoffs.
Funny that you say that, because honestly, I thought
the opposite.
Thank God these guys are fucking idiots, like, multiple times. To be honest with you, like, I had that thought like a few times. Like, there was a game, like, literally game 1, like, all they had to do was be like semi-professional basketball players, and they win that game. Like, the game's a wrap until Siakam decides to like Superman punch the ball out of bounds and give us the fucking ball back and give us a chance to get the game to OT in the first place. The fact that they let us back in, I mean, we would be slaughtering the fucking Celtics if we did either of these things. If the fact that they let us back in when we were down, how much were we down in game 3? 18?
18, yeah. Yep.
18. The fact that they blew an 18-point lead and then like didn't really look like they were gonna win at all in the last few minutes. Like they just looked like the sword was coming and it was inevitable. If the fucking Celtics put in a performance like that, we'd be killing them. But because they're the little itty bitty Indiana Pacers, like the plucky younger brother, you're like in a privileged position to be like, oh, what a great sport they were. Fuck those guys. 4-0.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. Fuck that. Like once again, they was being their chest out when they won Game 7 in New York, and rightfully so, because that was a big time win. So I'm not taking that away. But Tyrese Halliburton, rightfully so, had the Reggie Miller choke shirt when they came in there and beat New York in Game 7.
I don't know if you can hear it, but they're saying "fuck you, Reggie." Like I fucking heard all that shit. So like, fuck
exactly. So I'm like, please, like,
humble.
I'm not. Spare me the soft fest. Once again, I have no problem giving credit to Indiana. I think they had a great series overall as far as how stuff they play. I agree with you there, Mike. But like I said, you play who's in front of you, and once again, they did well. I will say this though. Aaron Nemhard deserves to be a starter on another team. That brother can hoop, and like I think he is in Halliburton's shadow. This was a coming out party for him for sure.
I'm very skeptical. I'm very skeptical of teams, random role players coming out and having fucking lights out shooting nights against the Celtics, because if it was always true that it was a coming out party for them, then Max Strus would have won the fucking MVP this year. You know what I mean? It's like
he's better than Max Strus though.
I understand. I just want to see it happen like more consistently, because I'm just saying the Celtics do let motherfuckers have coming out parties from time to time. If it was like an Obi Toppin or like I'm trying to think of someone else on the team that would have played like a Justin Jackson, I'd be like, all right, that would have fit. But that Nemhard, like I said, he came out of Gonzaga, like he's much better than I thought. Like I guess to see him obviously in person last year when they came to Boston and had met him after the game. Like he's super cool, but I was like, wow, like I didn't think it was that good. So yeah, he to me could have more of an impact, whether it's next year with Indiana or elsewhere with another team if they don't bring him back or they find a deal for him. But yeah, he's nice. And like I said, I got to give credit where he was awesome. Turner played really well in the series as well. Another thing, I thought that was also funny in Game 4 to see. It's like, dude, you're down 3-0, and now you want to manufacture the anger and pushing JB because he gave you a little shove because you pushed down. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought
the fuck out of here.
Because what I liked about that, my favorite thing about that is like JB didn't really push him that hard, first of all, so it's like relax. Mm-hmm. Secondly, his blood will be absolutely boiling, even though like a lot of the media may not have picked up on it. His blood will be absolutely boiling with how JB addressed the situation afterwards. He just full on like little brothered him. Like he was like, he's a good kid. I was just letting him know to watch his fucking mouth, it's all good now. We're going to the finals. He's fucking going home, basically intimated that. And, people were, I bet a lot of people saw that clip and they were probably like, oh, wow, Jaylen Brown, what a nice guy. So gracious for whatever happened. He just, he said it's all good. But really, he was going like, sit down, dude. Sit down, little fella. Like, you shouldn't have been there. So, like, and don't be a bitch at the end of the fucking game. I'll also say, I think it was clearly an accident when he smacked, what the fuck? TJ O'Connell out of the air in the face. I don't think that was intentional at all. And the Indiana Pacers fan base just showed themselves to be like such a bunch of little bitches. It's like if TJ McConnell or a TJ McConnell type player ever did that wearing a fucking Boston Celtics jersey, like rolling around on the fucking ground like that, I'd be like, dude, please, we're like about to get swept in this series. Can you not? Can you just get the fuck up? Because it turned out he was fucking fine. Right. And Peyton Pritchard took a size 16 Jordan to the brain earlier. He got up and kept going. And Peyton Pritchard is the smallest guy in every single series we play. So I'm like, can we get TJ McConnell to just get the fuck up? Like, please, this is embarrassing for everybody. And then he was like mouthing off kind of when he like walked away because like Jaylen was like, oh.
Yeah,
bad, dude. I was trying to play the ball.
Manufactured anger. It's
I
like,
did not have any respect for them by the end of this series. I really
the whole team. They took too long
to die
to get that feisty in the series, in my opinion. But I want to let Mike elaborate on what I'm about to say next because there's a certain coach that Mike has gotten on, and rightfully so, because he hasn't done much. But is Rick Carlisle now in Dark Rivers territory?
No. Carlisle goes to teams with young players and builds them back up to make them deep playoff runs. Doc Rivers handpicks his talent, builds all-star teams, and can't get out of the second round. So no, he's not in Doc Rivers territory.
You're just drawing the comparison.
I get it. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Of course you do. You're a Doc supporter still.
No, not even no. But I've backed off the Doc support though. What I mean by that is, once again, he gets a lot of love for that Dallas ring because of who they beat. So totally get that. Same thing with Doc. You beat Kobe, so everyone's like, oh my God. So he beat LeBron, so you're like, wow, like that is awesome. He has been subpar since then. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. He cost them 2 games this series. So whether we say he's a good coach or not, he's an excellent coach. He cost them 2 games in the series.
You're spitting facts, and then DK can go. But the fact of the matter is, Rick Carlisle has gotten further than Doc Rivers has since winning a championship. Fact.
He hasn't been back to another final. Doc been back to another final
since after Doc left the Celtics, right? Since he chose to not be part of a rebuild.
I don't know. To me, it's about the same. I would say one's above the other, but I think he's reaching that category. If he's not there yet, he's almost there. So,
where do you stand, DK?
Dave?
Well, first and foremost, I like to say winning championships is really hard. So I think we should just respect that. I think if you are in the one championship club, like I've always felt this about Mike's Doc Rivers take. Even if you're just got one, I think we should have a little respect for the man. And I think what's happening, Ray, is you're getting dragged down to Mike's level here when, you don't need to. Like, we can like both Rick Carlisle and Doc Rivers and say, I think pretty factually, though, Rick Carlisle had a lot to do with that win in the finals and how he read LeBron's game and, like, what kind of holes that he exposed. Like, the strategy for the Celtics was like, all right, Kobe's going to get his. But the strategy which was fine, it worked. But the strategy for Rick Carlisle's Mavericks team that year was, we're going to expose LeBron James, which was pretty fucking ballsy, and it worked. And it was one of the best finals upsets I've ever seen, like my favorite probably, because nobody was giving Dallas a fucking a snowball's chance in hell that year because of all the hype coming in. And, the fact that he like took... It was a tactical masterclass that is always going to leave me biased with Rick Carlisle because I watched him get the best out of his best player while getting the worst out of their best player. And I just thought it was awesome. And doing it in one move, basically, I thought was really cool. But I really like both those guys. Quite frankly, both those guys are way better fucking head coaches than Joe Mazzulla. So, like, I don't know. Like, can we all just get along? Like, I just think, like Rick Carlisle was just in the Eastern Conference Finals with a team that had absolutely no business being there. Like, you got to give him a little credit, no? Like, yeah, he got swept, but he shouldn't have even been there.
So that's what I'm saying. So circumstances don't matter for them then.
Of course they do. Of course they do. But like,
circumstances matter for every team. Circumstances matter for every team. They matter for us too. That's why we talk about them. We say, yeah, but I mean, we got to think about these circumstances. And to me, it's not like I don't think it's a silly take to say it's silly and reductive if you leave it at we've had an easy path. It's silly and reductive to leave it at that because then I get what most like of the national sports people are doing. It's like, oh, look how easy their path is. What I'm saying is genuinely from a Celtics fan's perspective, I'm like, I don't know yet because how easy the path has been. You know what I mean? Like there is just a factual sort of thing we have to address that there is an unknown quantity about this team if we play like the best version of Luka and Kyrie, like there's just an unknown quantity. I think we match up really well against them, but like, yeah, we're factoring in circumstances, like, of course. And like, did the Indiana Pacers get some help, to get to the Eastern Conference Finals with, like you said, Milwaukee getting injured, but also like they were a fucking car crash since December, but also
what happened in December?
They fired their coach and hired Doc Rivers. I don't know if that was in December, but it was right around then.
Yeah,
So
close enough. Yeah.
so yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not litigating the Rick Carlisle thing for the rest of my life, just for the record. But or the Doc Rivers thing at least. But what I'm saying is like, these are things that should be talked about, but like, I don't think you need to hit them with a stick for it. You know what I mean? Like, same as the Celtics, same as the Indiana Pacers. Like, to me, I'm like, I give Rick Carlisle credit. I think he's a good coach. I think he called better timeouts for the entirety of the series. He just played against the Celtics with his opposite number and like across the way. I thought Joe Maz should have challenged like 3 plays that he didn't challenge that really made me mad. And I think he's probably better at a timeout after a timeout. I know you think Joe's getting better at that, but like, it's not.
Well, I mean,
he did this.
sure.
It's like just a matter of like who's good at basketball coaching. I can see it in the game. I'm watching him coach. I feel the same way about Doc Rivers. I'm watching him coach. I'm like, he's doing a lot of the right shit. It's just like it's not quite happening for him, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I do think once again, yes, he is a Hall of Fame coach. So once again, that wasn't the argument there because obviously that's how I pinned that frame the question. But at the same time, specifically this series. And like I said, I seen him cost his team 2 games. And as far as timeouts
what do you think he did to cost his team?
In game 1 and game 3, there was 2 times that he should have called timeout where he didn't, and it cost his team.
You mean the very end of game 1?
Very end of game 1, and then when Nembhard, like I said, we'll get into that with the Jrue play later on. But when Nembhard gets the turnover because Jrue stole the ball, call the timeout there so that you set the guys up. So like I said, that to me, that can't happen at this juncture of his career as far as a coach. I mean, you have the younger team, and once again, they did have control. It's not like they were out of control; they were in control of a majority of those games. So just one
my first read on game one was that it was fucking Pascal Siakam's fault that they let us back into that game personally because he made a really stupid play on the ball. And it's like you could have just caught that too. Like what? No,
but I'm saying, but if he calls the timeout to advance the ball, right? Maybe that doesn't happen. That's what I'm saying.
I think
right. We don't get to the JB3, and then
I know, but I think
the rest was history.
I think if he made any mistake in that game, he should have just fouled right before that because then we have to shoot 2, and we don't get to take. They don't.
Yeah,
but that's like a pretty fair debate amongst a lot of people.
No, but the only reason why I'm okay if Rick Carlisle said it too, so I agree with him. But he said if he he did foul him, but he did foul him on the play. They just didn't call it because they didn't want that Heat to call the foul at that time of the game, which is a joke, but it is what it is.
It's okay. It went in. It's like you don't
want to be the guy that makes that foul at that time, and he hit the shot like that. That would have been, like I said, either way, it cost him the game, but that would have been brutal. If he had fouled on him,
it would have been an ability. There would have been an ability to foul before that because there was an inbounds pass and then a pass to JB in the corner. So you have to think like you can get an on the floor foul at that point. You could intentionally foul. You could. I mean, I don't know if they were in the bonus.
Well, I mean, it's 2 shots in the ball if you foul before the inbound. That's the problem.
No, not before the inbound. It's a pass to the inbound, and then there was a pass to JB. That's how the play was run. So you got to foul on the second pass. You got to foul on the second lily pad. You intentionally foul there, so they go straight to the line for 2 because you're in the bonus. And I don't know what the right strategy there is, to be totally honest with you. Like my first instinct, it's a debate, right? It's a pretty hotly contested debate in this sport. My first instinct is Rick Carlisle's first instinct. My first instinct is just defend. Just fucking defend. Just don't let them fucking score. Like, what are we doing here? We're trading foul shots already. We're up. Just defend.
Yeah.
Like that's my first instinct. Maybe there's advanced analytics to say the other thing.
Feel that. Yeah, me, I'm 3, I'm fouling regardless. I don't care of the scenario. I see why. I'm fouling regardless.
I see why. I completely understand. I see your point.
This series is a perfect example why you're up 3, you foul. Like, you do not. If I had to push JB out of bounds to Donnie Wahlberg, I'm going to. Like there's no way I'm letting him even get up that shot to hear the iconic bang, bang from Mike Breen. Like that warmed. You also see the other side of it, right? Where it's like the context essentially isn't even just defend like me just being a fucking smartass. It's really just like don't play the game on their terms, right? You're the team that's up. Don't play the game on their terms. Like don't give them a chance to like sink 2 free throws. Now, if it's the Celtics, you could sway me. If Jaylen Brown gets the initial inbounds, like I don't know, he's what, like a fucking 63% free throw shooter in the playoffs, like fuck it. And it's like it's crunch time, like fuck it, yeah, like foul him.
But there's also teams where it's like, especially in previous eras where you're like, I don't know, he's going to hit both free throws. He's gonna. So, but I guess you have to presume that, right? Like if you're going to foul up 3 regardless, you're assuming he hits both and then the game's in your hands. I don't know. I see both sides of it, but I understand why Rick Carlisle did some of the things that he did. If I was in his position, it's just my overall point. If I was in his position, I'd be like, hey, I don't think he told Pascal Siakam to run in the opposite direction of the ball and then try to outrun a guy faster than him and then punch the ball out of bounds and then shoot his own dick off and die in the middle of the court. I'm pretty sure that's what happened if my memory serves. So I just I'm like, if I'm Rick Carlisle, I'm like, all right, well, I got the gang who can't fucking shoot straight out there who've made like 30 fucking errors. Like for his 2 maybe timeouts he should have called. Like those pack of idiots fucking made enough mistakes to get us through the to the so plenty of blame to go around.
That Madden play was pretty dope though. The 4 verticals and at the end of game 3, the 4 verticals that he called, which is the best Madden play.
I thought it was fun.
I loved it. He called 4 verticals. It almost worked.
Yeah, because I also liked him in the interview. It's like, what do you want me to give you my whole playbook?
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked the whole thing. I don't mind the guy. I really don't. He was Bill Walton's friend. I don't know. We're good.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'd like to say, well, now he's on the couch, but to someone who's not on the couch, and he's, one of the main reasons why we're there. Jaylen Brown wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Once again, I think majority of the voters in there voted for him. There's about maybe 2 or 3 that voted for Tatum. So, Mike, I'll start with you. But just how has JB grown to you in this playoffs, and just not only as a talent but as a leader?
I think the first place you got to start is just how he performed when things mattered the most, right? Like one of the things that I've been really trying to beating the drum on is that's not what Tatum does. We need someone to do it. And in this series in particular, as the game went on, Jaylen Brown got better. His stats got better. His percentages got better. And I just love that he just realized that this team needs a closer on it. And I think for the last couple of years, he's wanted to be it, but maybe he just didn't have as much talent as he does now. But he just worked on so many aspects of his game this past offseason and all season that to see how much better he was getting in clutch time, to see the looks that he was taking and getting. I mean, this guy was shooting in the second half of the series. He shot 57% from the field, and he shot 37% from 3. That's pretty fucking good, in quarters 3 and 4. So his closeout ability, and then his defense. He was phenomenal on defense at the late stages of these games and when it mattered the most. And I think that's one of the things that we saw, last year, especially after the whole Ime debacle, is this team would just want to shoot, and they were lacking the defensive effort. And I never questioned his defensive effort this series. I'm glad he won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I'm glad that he looked shocked too, because I think he expected Tatum to get it because Tatum is the anointed one. But he's playing with the chip on his shoulder to not make any of the all NBA teams and not make any for defense. So I do love a pissed off Jaylen Brown this year.
I was kind of surprised too. He never does get any fucking credit, to be honest. He deserved it. The second most deserving guy I thought might have been Jrue Holiday. So that would have been probably my second choice if it wasn't for Jaylen getting it. And I also just think this is the basketball he's been playing all season. Like, I'm not surprised. He's been playing his best basketball for the entirety of the regular season ever since he signed that contract. And the old fucking bugaboo and myth of once you really pay a guy, what's the motivation? It's I don't think money is the only motivation for a guy like Jaylen Brown. It doesn't seem like it is. He doesn't talk like it is. And he doesn't seem like a guy who's just bullshitting for the sake of it. I don't think in 2024 it would be that big of a deal if he was like, I'm about to get my check and I'm good. I think he is a winner. And I think we've seen that on many occasions. He needs to be put in a position to win, just like anybody else. But, like Ray and I talked about last week, it's really not about who's better, Tatum or Brown, who, he does this. It's it's an absolute fucking luxury to have a guy win the Eastern Conference MVP who a lot of people maybe wouldn't put even in our top 3 best players, not me, but maybe a lot of people wouldn't. Maybe a lot of people would name some other players based on how Derek White plays or how Kristaps Porzingis plays at any given time. These are conversations people have had. So I just think you have to look at the embarrassment of riches that we have. There's an alternate dimension where Jaylen Brown gets hurt and Kristaps Porzingis doesn't, and he wins Eastern Conference Player of the Year, or Finals MVP. There's a world where someone else has to step up in any given situation, and they do. And that's what's great about this team is it's the deepest 1 through 5 ever. Like it really is. Like we might not have the craziest bench of all time, but like the drop off from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5 is significantly lower when everyone's healthy than any team I've ever seen. To be totally frank with you, I'm not joking. I wish I was doing hyperbole. And like other teams are gonna try to slate us for that, and we really shouldn't give into it and do it inside our own fan base because all they're saying is your team is sick. Like that's
right.
and they're trying to like make that a bad thing. I don't know. Like for some reason in the annals of basketball history and the way we watch this game, to really be good, you need one sick guy and then a bunch of guys who are also sick, but like we don't talk about it really. So the way everybody wants it to go is they want Jaylen Brown to be Scottie Pippen, quietly would be one of the best small forwards or shooting guards or swingmen or however you look at them, quietly would be one of the best players on most teams, if not the best player on most teams. But because they're playing next to insert name here, they have to just go about their business quietly. They have to do this, they have to do that. And I just don't think that Jaylen and Jayson see it that way, to be honest. And I think we've given them this credit before, but obviously when the stakes get high, we all fucking panic a little bit. I think Jayson Tatum's perfectly happy with Jaylen Brown winning the Eastern Conference, Larry Bird Trophy, first Celtic to win it since it's gotten that name, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, Tatum won the first. Then
Tatum won the very first one. Okay, got it.
Yeah, because Miami could be visible. Yeah. So.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if they had named it by that point, but that's cool. It's cool that if the first person to get it then was a Celtic, and I like that they both won it now. It's a cool little trophy. Exactly. I like it, but honestly, I just hope it's a cliche. But for all the talk of the Eastern Conference Finals, like I just hope that they're smart enough to. I mean, I hope Jaylen Brown's smart enough to throw that fucking thing in the back of his trunk and realize that it is not the trophy that he's gunning for this year. And neither is Finals MVP, by the way. There's one trophy everybody should have their mind on. And this team doesn't work if somebody's trying to win Finals MVP in the next series. Just so the way it's built and the way it's constituted, if Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum at any point decides, I want to win, but I also want to win Finals MVP, the whole fucking thing's going to fall apart because they're all good. They're all good. And no one player does have to do it. And that's how the team's built. And that's a good thing. It's a fucking good thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, you guys made great points about where he's grown and just what he means to this team and to the organization as a whole. He essentially sealed this award in game 1 when you hit that sample shot and then you follow it up with 40 in game 2. That to me, obviously, he helped set the tone. I thought his playmaking last night was the best I've seen in a while from him. That pass.
So he dribbled really well with his left hand, Mike. Did you notice that?
I did. I was waiting for you to bring that up.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's not just you. It's not just you that had killed him for it, rightfully so. But it's like he's gotten better. He's gotten better every year at something he's weak in. The only thing that he still has to improve is his free throws, obviously. So, but no, I said the playmaking he made. Like I said, that pass to Derek White in the corner, for the go-ahead 3 was a thing of beauty. Like because obviously with them playing that 5 out, but yeah, like he was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive. He played great defense when he needed to play great defense, and once again, his attacking mindset, kind of seeped through. I think the whole team, right?
Yeah.
Because regardless of who you think is 1A or 1B, like this team goes, this team and Brown goes. Period. Like it's not a matter of
when Brown attacks, Jrue attacks. Whatever they have going on over there on that side, however they play off each other, maybe it's a chemistry thing, maybe it's by design. I honestly have no idea, but I really feel like their games are kind of on a string with each other because I think they're very similar players, believe it or not. Like I know that Jrue's being asked to do a lot less than he's been asked to do on like previous iterations of title winning teams that he's been on, but I think if he's letting anyone do those things instead of him, I think he's letting Jaylen Brown do those things instead of him. Like if he's sacrificing for anyone. And I think it's because they're very, very similar. Like I think it's like a guard and a wing built to play for each other. And I think the same is true of Derek White and Jayson Tatum. I mean, just look at the Derek White and Jayson Tatum pick and roll. It's literally an unstoppable play that we don't run enough at all. But it's whatever. We'll get into that, I'm sure, at some point in the finals when we're very angry. But I like you just to agree with you, like this team goes as they go. It's because I think that they have guards now that are built to support them. And they have when Porzingis plays. Like the thing is like a lot of people tuned in during the fucking playoffs and they haven't really seen this team cook with Porzingis on it, but they did it a lot of times in the regular season. And it does look a lot different than even when we cook without him. Like it's a lot of shit. It's pretty crazy, honestly, when they're all going and Porzingis is in there because our forwards feed him then. Like they become, like you said, like playmakers. They just had to adjust a lot, I think, because we were playmaking back with the guards, which isn't really what they're kind of designed to do, if that makes sense. It was like, oh, yeah, let's get Derek White on the catch and shoot. Like, I personally wish Jayson Tatum was a little bit better at the catch and shoot, but it's fine. We can go in the reverse order. But the fact that Porzingis can, like, bounce off and, like, make space, I think is, like, really helped both of those guys' playmaking, because they have these options now that they feel very confident in doing it. So, yeah, finally, now that Marcus Smart's gone, this team goes when they go. Finally. Finally, I mean, that is the biggest thing. I honestly think that this is the biggest change between, and we've kind of been like knocking at this door for the whole season of Celtics coverage. This is the biggest thing that's changed. It's like they have the keys to the fucking car, and like Marcus Smart was just always like their little brother being like, I can come too. And it's like, well, you don't have an ID, dude. You can't get into the bar. It's like, no, come on, I'll find a way in. And then like they don't let you in because he's like 2 years too young. And you're just like, oh, come on, Marcus. Like you're fucking it up for everybody else. Like this night isn't about you. It's Jaylen's birthday. That kind of a thing. Right. So I just think, yeah, I mean, they're given the license to be playmakers. They're given the license to be scorers when they need to be. I still think that there's too much of a green light on Tatum's threes because he's like a 28% 3-point shooter this playoffs. It's bad. It's really, really bad. And he can go to the bucket whenever he wants. So you can just stop doing that. But regardless, they both have the green light to do whatever they want. So if they're treated equally respectfully by the organization, by their teammates, then it doesn't matter who wins the fucking Eastern Conference, MVP.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think, and also to make another point about Jaylen before I move on to the next player, last year, I think I seen a stat online, last year in the conference finals, he averaged 19 a game, shot like 41% from the field, and shot 16% from three. And I think, I don't know if it was all three of us on the show or all four of us on the show talking about it, but, we essentially said, hey, he owes us next year. He owes us. I said, because I'm like, others that showed up, and it was just like he just wasn't himself, especially in that game 7. He's responded in a major way. And, in the words of Jayson Tatum, big time players make big time plays. And that's what he's done, not just all season, but all postseason. And he's a man on a mission. And like I said, this team collectively is on a mission. As Albert said, we're starving, and like I said, I think they are locked in as they've ever been in this era. And once again, like I said, this iteration had not been to this point. we were worried about what happened last year or the year before. It was just like this particular team, because of what they added, was different, and now you're seeing it mentality wise, playmaking wise. And it's just like, how they defend, all that stuff. So, and it kind of starts, that doesn't necessarily start with him, but he adds to it. This next thing I'm about to bring up, Holiday. And like you said, DK, he is someone that could have been the ECF and MVP. I said at the beginning of this year, I thought it was going to be the Jrue Holiday series. And, he thankfully made me look good in the series. So, Mark, again, I'll start with you. Just how is his basketball IQ just kind of changed how you view them in not just clutch situations, but just overall game management?
Yeah, I mean, I think before the series started, I think it was either one of you, because it sure as hell wasn't me. So if we get into a situation where Holiday's averaging 18 plus points a game, like this series is a wrap. And he averaged just over 18 for the series. But it was it was the moments when, even if it was in the second or the third, when Indy was making a run, he would have come up with a play to stop it. Whether it was on defense.
Or in the fourth, if it was game 4.
Yeah. Yeah, no, of course. But like the thing that I'll take full responsibility for this, have been bitching about for the last several years is that there's no one on this team that can just consistently stop a run or make a play and settle people down. And it looks like Jrue is that guy, right? Like he should be. He's the only person on this team that has championship experience. Like you want to talk about championship DNA? He has it. He has a ring. They should all listen to him. And he wasn't. It was just so nice seeing a point guard for the Boston Celtics not taking errant threes, like distributing the ball, trying to get everyone else involved. And then when he needed to, he would make a block, make a steal. I don't think you can say enough good about him because he's played his role so well over the course of the year that if you weren't watching every game, you'd probably just look at a stat line and say, like, well, what happened to him? Right? Like, why did his production go down?
Yeah, a lot of people did that.
Like,
a lot of people did.
like it didn't. He just adapted to the situation around him and made everybody else better. And then when we needed him in clutch moments, there he was.
Dave.
We talk just an overview on Jrue. I mean, I've always loved the man with deeply in my heart. I always liked him when he was on the Bucks, to be honest with you. And it was because he would do shit exactly like Mike just described. He would come out out of a timeout when we went on a run, 6 to 8 points in any playoff series. In fact, I can think of, he would do this where we were playing the Bucks. We would score, go on a run of 6 to 8 points, would be up, say 10. And he would hit it too. He would just come out and just hit it too from his spot to start off from the timeout just to get things going. And I'm like, Jesus, like what a luxury rhythm player. You know, he can just come out, go to his spot, hit that two, and just get his team going again. You know, and I think that the credit that player gets should be enormous because Paul Pierce used to do that. To be honest with you, he would be the guy to come out of a timeout and just get the offense going again with like a rhythm shot where he would almost certainly make it. You know, he'd take a guy one-on-one, maybe he'd switch to like a lumpier like power forward and just take him to the edge of the elbow, and he would just hit a shot on him. Like he was just able to do that. We also had the luxury then when we got all the guys that we got where KG could also do that. Ray Allen could do that. To be honest with you, Eddie House thought he could do that. But he couldn't. So it's, you know, it's funny to sort of see the things that you value in championship medal and the things your guys are bringing to the table are not Ray Allen hitting huge threes from the corner or, you know, Paul Pierce massive isolations. It's the things you really remember are the things that like kind of flash in front of you when Jrue Holiday does them, if you ask me. But, you know, the way that the 08 Celtics would win a game, in my opinion, it's almost certainly not true, but just in my memory, I could see like a big block or a steal winning us games. I can think of a couple. And I know we hit a ton of game-winning shots, especially in our finals run, but I just love that was the game-winning play. You know, like something about the kind of identity I want this team to have, and the identity that it wants to have is not usually congruent with that. Like they usually want the step back behind, you know, in between the legs, dagger three. And I like the idea of them kind of coming around to a game-winning play on this Celtics team being Jrue Holiday getting like a huge steal because the guys, the other team just aren't paying enough attention. They're not as locked in crunch time. You know what I mean? And like that to me was just that Jrue Holiday was paying more attention than everybody else on the floor. And quite frankly, you'll love to see it. You just love to see it. Right. So that to me is I really just echoing what Mike said is that to me is the kind of playoff experience that we need is like, I can make a play to win a game here that isn't a shot, you know, and then this team needs a little dose of that in general in their cornflakes in the morning. So I liked it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, you know, to add to that point about, you know, things that we saw with the OA team, right. You know, actually I'll speak about this team first. So, we were. I mean, obviously they have to go ahead and, you know, win the finals for things to be remembered in this playoff run. But if they are to win, you know, the crystallizing moment will be that steal, right? That is the play you're gonna point to and say, oh, this is when we kind of feel like, okay, this team is on a special run.
And they click.
They may go ahead and win it, right? Like when in the Celtics in 08, right? Remember their issues, just like how it's funny. They were dominant at home, but sucked on the road. This team hasn't been. Well, they've been better at home than people think. They've only lost 2 games at home, but they're like 5-2, whatever it is. But they're undefeated on the road, and it's like I trust them fully on the road to get any game. Like I and I've said that before, but I feel even more better about that now. Like they're on the road. I have no issues thinking that they're going to come out there and get the job done there. But I want to speak to Holiday's IQ because there was a play in game 3 right before the half. So Indiana's going on this run. They're running up and down the floor. And the lead is about at 10 at that moment. Like Indiana ended up leading by 12 at the half. But Holiday gets a steal on them hard with like 20 seconds left. And it's the same type of play that he got him at the end of the game. He passes up to JT. JT gets a layup. And I think what he thought in that moment, he said, okay, I'm going to lock this in the back of my head that if this type of play happens when he's on a break again, I know he's driving right. If I put my hand out there, my left hand there, I know that I have a chance to swipe it. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm sorry, like as good as far as some of the defenders we've had here, he might be the best guard defender we've had since Tony Allen. And I'm like, that's high praise because Tony Allen was a monster on the defensive end. So I think that's where, I think that's where he makes the biggest difference is having those type of plays stored in his mind. And once again, he explained to Abby in the postgame. He was like, look, he was like, we know him to be a right-hand driver. He went right, I guess right, and I was able to get that steal. And I couldn't believe. I'm like, it's the same play that happened at the beginning of that or and that second.
It wasn't like the handles were bad either.
Crazy.
It wasn't like the handles were bad. Like he switched it around his hip. He did the right thing. He just like poked it right exactly at the right time. It was like nothing.
Right.
I like the fact that it wasn't a mistake on the offensive players. Thing. It was just like literally the amount. I know exactly what you're talking about. The two things that were the most important is he remembered the tape. Right. But also he remembered it to a degree where he stopped in the spot that he knew he was going to receive the ball. And the guy didn't know he was there, but he was ready for it, and but his feet were planted. So it would have been a charge one way or the other if he got cleaned out. So he's brave enough to just like hold his ground, claim his space. And then while doing that very sort of big, bulky bulldog guard thing, he makes a Jayson Kidd like finesse poke of a steal, and then gets it around the other side, that's game. And it's like, and then they can't even like intentionally foul. It's all scrambled, whatever. And it's like he calls game with a steal.
I mean, they obviously were stunned in that moment, obviously, and rightfully so. I mean, you just
I was stunned.
It was like whoa, like did that just really happen?
They just get us like that. They just get us like that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I say, that to me, and I mean, between that play, Tatum to me made the play of his career right before that, where that behind the back pass to Al Horford. I was so like, wow, that was sick. I was so sick. I was like, that's the best play I've seen him make his whole career. I said, wow. I was like, that was. I mean, it was spot on. Like, it wasn't like, it was going to be too high.
No. It was the best pass of the game, and it was behind.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, then the next one was pretty good to the Holiday for the N1, but
yes,
because I was like, I mean, they had that game. I think that was the game getting no turnovers, I believe. So I was like, that to me was like, it was just great to see them coincide. But like I said, I can't speak highly enough of what Holiday has done. Like you said, Mike, I know people were kind of wondering where, not where, but when we would get these type of performances, and him and Al clearly was saving themselves for the postseason. Like they didn't need to give everything they had to give during the 82 game season, but they showed up when it mattered. And once again, you're only as good as your others. Yes, it's about stars, and we'll get to the next star in a minute on the team, but it's just like it has to be a collective thing. And once again, we've seen things from White, we saw things from Holiday, we saw things from Brown, we saw things from Horford. And it's just like, collectively they're on a string, as Dave alluded to a few moments ago. So that just leads to winning basketball. And once again, it put them in that position to be 4 games away currently. So one to get into to Tatum next. He ends the series, averaging 30, 10, and 6, which is better than I think than most people thought they was going to be, because of how inconsistent some things have been at times. But Dave, I'll start with you on this one. Do you feel that he's turning around in this series, and just what was the biggest improvement you saw from him in his overall play?
I mean, I'm being a dead horse here, but play make, defend, score inside. Play make, defend, score inside. Play make, defend, score inside. You're not like sick like that at 3-point shots. And I also understand how this system is built and how this team is built. I understand we're a perimeter centric team. I understand why we're like that because we have extremely long guards. Or I'm sorry. Well, yeah, we do have extremely long guards, but extremely long forwards, and our wing position is generally more dominant than any team we play. I'm struggling to think of a team with comparable wings across everything. So to me, I think the thing that's always been frustrating about Tatum's game, and especially as he gets better at those things that I mentioned, is that he can do those things whenever he wants, especially in today's NBA where they will probably let him switch on to guards early and he can just murder any guard in the league. I'm sure we're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks and our matchup with them, but he needs to guard Luka. That is on the docket for him. That's what's happening. So I hope someone's told him. And I think that he's the exact type of guy that can, if he's like playing correctly. He's big, he's strong. We see what Luka does to anyone smaller than him. And if you try to put someone bigger on him that's named Rudy Gobert, he makes them look like an absolute fucking circus clown. So you need a guy Rudy Gobert's size that has some semblance of athleticism and footwork, of which Rudy Gobert is not blessed. Jayson Tatum is one of the most athletic guys for his size that's ever played in the NBA. So you put him on Luka, it's a no-brainer. So don't be dumb, Joe. But he did those things more. That's just what it is. Like, he still took some annoying threes. I don't think we need that from him personally. I know that we can rain threes on teams, but we obviously have seen that they respect the fact that they need a plan B, and they've gone to that, and I really do appreciate that they've seen that very obvious thing that we all saw. But I want him to score inside because he can score inside on most people. I want him to go to the hoop, like Mike always says, but really, like, how he's been setting up in the post, I'm perfectly fine if it starts there. I'm slowly accepting the fact that he'll never do anything that's not off the dribble. He has to be off the dribble. I get it. All right, that's just your game. That's fine. I won't bitch about that anymore. But you can start in the post against most people. You can play make, you can defend on the other side, and you can score inside. That's what I want from him. And he did more of that. And you can just see that he looks like the best version of himself when he's doing those things. And I don't think anyone else is going to really argue with that. Did he hit some big threes? Sure. But everybody on the fucking team can shoot threes, dude. Not everybody on the team can do those things the way that you can do them. Not everybody on the team can clamp Kevin Durant for 4 straight games and blow them out and send him packing. Like, not everybody can switch onto Giannis and somewhat slow him down when need be. I've seen him compete in a foot race with Trae Young. He can do shit that nobody else on the team can do. Have him do those things. I feel like I'm pulling my hair out at this point, but it was better. It got better as the series went on.
Mike,
I just want you all to know, those listening and you two that I'm talking to, that I do really like Jayson Tatum, right? Like, and I do know that he is an exceptional basketball player. I think that he has all the makings to go down as one of the best, top 20 to ever do it. My big thing, and the reason why I get so mad, and DK just eloquently put it, is because I see glimpses of all the things that he has gotten so much better at that he chooses to forget about and rest on things where he's not excelling. And it looks like sometimes maybe because it's easier, but sometimes because he wants to get recognized. I thought that, his rebounding showed through the series. Way better passing, especially late. Like, my big thing about Tatum recently has just been that he disappears kind of in the fourth. I think, Dave, you've also said too, like, he doesn't want it. And
that's what he's trying to be a shooter. It's right. Like, he doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he could be the best playmaker on the court in the fourth quarter and not score a point, right? Like, his presence could just be absolutely known. And I think that he was getting a little bit more into that this series, which I liked. But when you and other people say, he doesn't need to jack up threes because he's not that good at it. I knew that might be said tonight, so I prepared. I know you don't like stats, Dave, but I just have one more stat.
I knew it might be said because I've been saying it to you for days.
Right. You may have said it again. So
just so listeners don't think you're some sort of fucking sleuth. I've literally been typing it and sending it to your phone for multiple days.
But I prepared just 2 stats, and if you allow me the time.
Please.
Jayson Tatum in this entire postseason, in the first quarter, has averaged 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He's shooting 50% from the field and 48% from 3. That's in the first quarter. In the fourth quarter, he averages 5 points. He's shooting 40% from the field, 19% from three. That helps my argument by saying he can make those shots. He takes them in the first, always makes them. That's where he gets all of his points. In this series, he scored averaged 19 points in the first half, and he averaged 30 for the game. So, like, we know if he gets off to a good start, which he normally does, he can make those shots. What I can't wrap my fucking head around is why it falls off in the third and mostly in the fourth quarter. And I was hoping that now that I have the stats to back it up, one of you could answer that fucking question for me.
So I think for me, and I've been thinking about this analogy really all day because I knew we were going to be on. And Dave, sorry if this leaves you out of it because I know you don't follow baseball as much as me and Mike do. But the player I'm bringing up lives in he plays in your city, but he played with us first.
Mookie Betts.
I'm gonna say it right now. Tatum to me is 2016 to 2017 Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts was a monster in the regular season. Monster. I mean, the dude was putting up crazy numbers, was MVP like, and in 2018 it finally clicked, right? Because regular he becomes the AL MVP. They go 108 and 54, and then he figures it out in the World Series. Doesn't get World Series MVP, but he plays much better because you knew the defense was going to be there. You knew the base running was going to be there. He just had to put together some timely hits, and he finally did in that series. That's where I equate him to be. The talent is there, right? That's undeniable. But in those moments, because you were deemed to be the guy, can you be that guy when time and time again, right? And once again, I think we were trending in that right direction for towards the end of this series, and especially in games 3 and 4. Because to some Mike's credit, I think Mike brought up about. I mean, it wasn't really trolling. We were just laughing about it. It was just like 30. I hate that the stat line was going to be better than what it was for game 1.
Right.
He had 36 in game 3, but his 36 felt different in game 3 than it did in game 1 because he had 20 in the first half, he had 16 in the second, he had 8 assists, 13 rebounds. Like it was different. So all 30 pieces, flat wings are not created the same. Got you. I'm with you. But yeah, but to my point, I just think he's like I said, he's Mookie right now in the sense that he could dominate at times and be like, man, this man's the best player in the world when he wants to be, and then had moments where you're like, why are we looking to pay this guy? So I think that's the analogy I've been thinking of. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Well, if he continues to do in the finals what he did in games 3 and 4, where if the quarter like his shots aren't falling, if he becomes the playmaker and he decides that he's going to play locked in defense, I'll shut the fuck up. Promise. Right? It's just you can't be ever present in the first half and then disappear for the final 9 minutes of the game. You can't do that because then, like, I'm not just me. Like, who the fuck am I? But everybody's going to call you out for that. No one's talking badly about him in game 3, right? Or game 4. Yeah, it does, because even though he didn't score a ton of points at the end, like he made fucking plays. He made stops. He made everyone around him better, which that's the best quality of your star.
Right, correct. Dave?
Like I think the most veteran performance, like the most veteran level performance of the entire NBA playoffs so far has been the first 2 Kyrie Irving games of the Western Conference Finals. And I think that people should study that tape because man didn't hit a 3 until the second quarter of game 2 or the third quarter of game 2, right? Something ludicrous like that. And everyone in the world had the same reaction as Stan Van Gundy did in the commentary when he said, that's his first 3. That's scary. Because we were all watching him have a bunch of great quarters in a row already. And none of us even really knew that was his first 3 because it didn't matter. And I would just show Jayson Tatum that tape and I'd be like, this is how a veteran wins basketball series. Like you don't have to shoot every gun in your holster at once. You got to make it situational. And when you make those decisions, why you make those decisions is the difference between a championship or a ticket back to your penthouse. You know what I mean? And like that's No one here is saying that Jayson Tatum is not talented. Like my buddy recently, I was having this conversation with him, and he showed me the clip that everybody was so mad about when I said Jayson Tatum right now is better than Paul Pierce. He is more talented than Paul Pierce. If you don't think so, I'm sorry. I don't respect your knowledge of the game. Like, that's just the way it is. It's that very fact why we're talking about it. It's very much that fact. And I do believe that he has all the talent in the world. It's just a matter of where, when, and why he chooses to implement that talent. And I will say, this Indiana Pacers series gave me a lot of faith that he knows when, where, and why to implement different things, because I think he did what Mike's asking. I really genuinely do. I agree with your point completely, Mike, when you say the games we killed him the least were some of his lower scoring games because of when he scored, not how much he scored. And that's like what we're asking of him. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have wanted Kobe Bryant on my fucking team, just for the record. Like, it's in 2024, I promise you, it's really, really difficult to win a game when your best player goes 15 for 40. It's really difficult. It's a hard way to win a basketball game these days. So we got to play the way that wins games, and I think he understands that. I have hope that he understands that.
Right. Yeah. No. Totally. I mean, listen. Like I said, we could bend the jump about him on our alum, but like I said, he got better. I think Mike said it the last time he was on about Tatum, and I'll move on. Hopefully, this series against Indiana reminds me of who he is as a player, and I think that's exactly what happened. He eased into it, but that's fine. At the end of the day, he figured it out. And I think they handle business, and they're moving on.
But one thing
I
will say before you move on, Ray, because I feel like I've come down hard on him, but I think it's worth pointing out. It's hard to grow as a player if you feel like everything is on your shoulders. And I think what he's done really well now.
You've seen his fucking shoulders, dude.
But I think what he's done really well now this postseason is he accepted the fact that Jaylen can pick him up. So he's growing. Like, he really is. 2 years ago, Tatum's not doing in the fourth quarter what he did this year. He just wouldn't do it. He would have just put up more shots. And but that is a good sign. I mean, that is a really good sign.
The level of trust that him and Brown are displaying is not just one or the other. The trust that they're displaying in the system, in their teammates.
That was there in the regular season.
Is what could propel them. Say it again, Dave.
That was there in the regular season. That trust. And it
was, but I mean, but it's like I think it's easier when you're beating teams by 30 in the regular season. But I'm saying,
totally. I was worried it was kind of going away. I was worried they weren't going to accomplish that level of trust with each other in the postseason. I saw flashes of it leading up to this, but the last 3 games against the Pacers, I was like, this is what it looked like in the regular season.
Yeah. And then once again, we have said it many times, and like I said, we're about to get into him next. They have done this without a guy that was getting 20 points a night for them. And it's like, that matters.
Is he going to come back though? Like, I'm scared to ask.
Yeah. We're going to get into it right now. So it's just like, how's like, you can get into it, Dave, but just how, like I said, they've managed it the best they could, obviously, by handling business and getting him the rest of the rehab that he deserves. So just how would you manage it for game 1? Would you, or really the whole series, but would you have him start coming back? Would you have him be on the bench? Like, how do you want that to play out?
I guess it depends. I mean, obviously my hope is that the Mavericks start to blow this lead. It's pretty even right now. I think it just went 49-49 into the second half. But I like when the Celtics get rest. They're the kind of team that doesn't really play as much of the momentum as they do on health and rest. You said something last show that we're winning the durability sweepstakes right now, even though Porzingis is hurt. Watching Luka limp around for the last 7 games or so, I think has been encouraging, to say the least. Every team, like Mike pointed out, that we've played has had major injuries of probably their best player each time, which, it's just part of it. I mean, staying healthy is just part of winning championships. Like, you could say Tom Brady might have won a Super Bowl the year that Matt Castle played out an 11-win season. You know what I mean? Because, like, if he could do 11 wins, what could Tom Brady do, right? But there's a lot of ifs and buts in these health conversations, and Ray brings it up all the time. Nobody gave a shit when Gordon Hayward's fucking leg exploded. No one gave a shit when Jayson Tatum rolled his ankle in game 1 or in game 7 of the East Finals last year. And, no one gives you any credit for staying healthy when it's the thing you need to do to win championships in every single sport. So it's not pretty, it's not sexy, but if we get Porzingis back for game 7, I don't know. I think they're fucked. To be totally honest with you, I guess what I'm saying is I think this series is going to go to 7 games. I think the series against the Mavs is going to go to 7 games, not because they're as good as us. I think we're a lot better than them, but because they're closers, they're killers. I've now seen them do this to the team I thought was the most talented team left in the playoffs, and they're a hard team to play against, and it's a tough backcourt. I think our matchups are good, but I think they're going to have their nights. And I just want 100% Kristaps Porzingis on the go-home games. That's really, I'm not asking for too much. I just want him there. So my hope is that he's good now. He could go in. He could have gone in at 85% against the Pacers, but they were like, that would be dumb, because it would have been. And you could get him to 95% by game 2, but I just want him at 100% on any of the closeout games, one way or the other. That's my focus, because he's also the kind of player I think that can come in and just play his game. I don't think we need to manage his minutes off the bench to try to get him warmed up. I think we can just keep him working out, let him play scrimmages and shit, have fucking some of the bench guys go down and play him hard in the Auerbach Center if he's at 95%, try to get him up to speed and shake off some of the ring rust. But I just want him in the go-home games. That's it. I'm not greedy. I think we can win games against this team. I think it's going to 7 one way or the other, and I don't want to risk him getting hurt.
Yeah, I don't want a repeat of what happened with Bill Walton and with KG. When you get them all gassed up in the next season, they get hurt. But what I will say is, if you can get Porzingis at 85% in game 1, and you play him 15 minutes just to make sure that Al doesn't have to play those 15 minutes, and you rest him a little bit more too, you keep him durable.
We've kind of seen that Al can kind of manage the minutes, right? Strangely, I know I've been the one saying that, but
we've seen
all right.
But we saw in 22, right? The drop off in the finals had happened. It really happened, and I think
that happened to all of them in 2022, though, except for Jaylen Brown.
But it's because they went 7 with Miami, right? And so they have 10 days rest. I just think Porzingis wants to get up for this series too, especially if it is against the Mavs, because he has we talk about Kyrie in Boston. It's personal for KP in Dallas too. So I think that's going to be another fun factor in it. But in the finals, and knowing that you have another 15 weeks off after that, if you're 85% or more, you go. Just go.
Yeah.
That re-injury is the problem, because then it's just I'd hate to have him for game 1 and not have him for game 7. It's just that gives me the willies.
But I mean, listen, if he turns into the modern day Willis Reed, I'm here for it. Get your 2 for 2, make the first 2 buckets, and just send them on the way. But I do think that he's been good really since game 3. Honestly, I don't know. So my gut just tells me that. I just think that once they won,
why would we play him though? Why?
No, right? No, I'm saying once they won game 3, they was look, and once again, they would never admit this in the public because it would be disrespecting the opponent. But I think they was look, we're up 3-0. There's a good chance that we, at the worst, close this out by a Wednesday. Just keep rehabbing, keep obviously traveling with the
if
team,
we can have them at 100%, just
I'll take
we
it.
swept the series, I'll fucking take that too for 100%.
Right.
If Minnesota can find a way to elongate this series over here to just give them even more time, I'm all the merrier. But if the sports scientists are saying re-injury risk,
Yeah. That's really the case with anybody, right? It's not just, obviously I know
it's that calf though. It's specifically that calf injury. It's it's an aggravatable injury. It's when you have those muscle injuries, it's not here's his return to timeline from surgery. Here are the things that we know about it. This is how long it takes the fucking spleen to heal. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's it's so much harder to gauge on those muscle injuries. So you really, really have to be sure. And I think that because we saw it, we saw this happen to Kevin Durant. He went in on an injury just like this, and then his whole fucking Achilles exploded. We all watched it in 4K, and it's just I just don't want that to happen. You know what I mean? Because we're okay without him for a second.
he also chose to be MC Hammer before that game. I don't know if you remember that in the pregame. He's up there doing this like MC Hammer type dance, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're just coming off that type of injury. Like, are you dumb? And you come up there and you do the whole hammer dance, which like once again, he looked great doing it, but he gets out there. He was actually killing Toronto when he got out there, and then obviously, like you said, what happened.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. I have no doubt that Kristaps could come kill that, but it's a matter of like how many minutes is he going to play? If he's at 100%, great. You know,
yeah. Like, I just to me, I would put to me, I'd get him off the bench. I just feel like they have a really good thing rolling with Al at the 5 right now, and I just feel like the chemistry is there because this is the team. Well, I mean, with the exception of Holiday, this is a team that was there in 20. So they're like, look, it is now or never. Like we are here, and I feel like if you can even get 20 minutes off the bench from Porzingis, that makes the bench that more formidable. I'm here for it. And once again, I think at this stage of his career, he's not going to be like, well, I'm not going to, I'm making 30 million. I'm not going to do that. He would absolutely do that.
Coming back from injury, sure, but it's just I don't know.
Hell, and listen, if the Warriors did it with Steph Curry when he got hurt and he came back that year and they made it to the finals and he had 40 off the bench, I don't know. To me, you do whatever it takes at this moment. And once again, it's personal. And to me, that's all I feel like that's all the motivation they need, especially, Porzingis. So I just think continue to rehab, which was great that they ended it yesterday because he was able to rehab, able to, do all the treatment they need to get him ready for game 1. And the best part of it, game 1 is Thursday, June 6th. Game 2 is June 9th. Game 3 is June 12th. So there's 2 games of rest. There's 2 days of rest between the first 3 games, and then it's every other day going after that. So I feel like you can kind of ease them into the first 3 because you'll be able to still rest them. So
let me paint you a picture, though. Let me paint you a picture.
Is there
just one quick idea of would you take this though? Say he's at 90% and you're sitting in the room and it's the day before game 1 and he's at 90%. Wouldn't you just be a little tempted to apply the context of if we go out there and we beat them without him, it's a bit of whether we win or we lose, it's a little bit of a win-win because what we can do if we win is we can apply the context of we just beat them game 1 without Kristaps Porzingis and then you just start him game 2 and they go, oh, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because it's that added psychological factor of we already got you without him, and now he's fucking back. There's just that, which is the sports science perspective, right? Which helps out his calf a little bit, but go ahead.
Or you go up 2-0 without him, and you start him in game 3 out there.
Sure.
And it really like, oh my God.
Sure.
And he hits the go-ahead 3 with like a minute left. That would be...
Right. And like the thing is like if you're bringing on if you're bringing on a guy,
what I'm saying? So it's great. So I want to move on though because obviously I want to talk about the guys that's off the bench. Right, we talked about the starters and what they've done and what they could do. Obviously, it hasn't been super bright spots for Hauser or Pritchard at times, or even some of really anybody off the bench. Cornette's had some good moments, but he unfortunately had missed.
Brissett had a good game.
Well, say it again.
Brissett had a good game. Game 3.
Who had a good game, Sam?
Brissett.
Oh, Brissett. Yeah, Brissett had a good game as well. So, Mike, I'll come to you here. So, just are you concerned about the bench going into the finals? And if you're not, like, who would you like to see play a little bit more in the next round?
I'm not concerned with the bench if Porzingis is coming off it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like that's a huge boost of energy. But I also think I don't know, like I really want to dislike Peyton Pritchard. Like I listened to DK talk about him.
You hear that, Bobby?
I listened to DK talk about it. He was like, well, he's just so small. And like he gets
small?
cooked. And he gets cooked. And you're right. And he gets cooked. All those things happen. And then it's like he makes like a clutch rebound and then hits a really like a good 3. And you're like, I kind of like his scrappiness, but I think Sam Hauser needs to be better in the next series. Like he absolutely does, especially because
guys, Peyton Pritchard can't be out there against that backcourt. Can we please put a line under that now? Someone fucking write Joe Mazzulla a fucking letter. That would be really diabolically bad. There were some bad moments against Indiana. I got to say, it's not his offensive game that I have a problem with, Mike. It really isn't. I think he's okay. He's got good handles. He should. I mean, he's pretty close to the ball, like from the distance from the ground wise. But realistically, like, come on, Luka and Kyrie against him, that's going to be real ugly. That's going to be real ugly. That's a problem.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there for like 100%. I get it, but he's not the one that needs to show out next. Like it has to be, especially like with what we don't know about Porzingis, like Cornet and Sam Hauser. Those two need to be exponentially better. And I mean, I think that you're probably going to need to give Cornet more than 9 minutes a game, right? Especially if Porzingis isn't going to come back for the first couple of games, because I think Al may need a little bit more rest. And I do think that this series, just like Dave feels as well, I think it's going to go 7. And I think Cornet in the first 2 rounds was pretty valuable at times.
Yeah.
I don't know what
especially
happened
in series. Yeah. Well, let me throw this out there too, because this name hasn't been brought up really all playoffs. But because of the Gafford Lively duo, what about turning to Neemias Queta? Right? He has that type of build. He could be a rim threat. Once again, he's not someone that I want to handling the ball, kind of like a Gafford for Dallas, but you can throw the lob up to him, and I think that's become a big part of Dallas's offense, especially against Minnesota, against Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns. So I just think maybe Queta can get 5 to 6 minutes out there. He is a good offensive rebounder. He can be a rim threat. So maybe they go that way. So what do you think about that? Is that someone you think they could turn to maybe?
I think that could absolutely happen, but I also think, in my opinion, the people that are going to be coming off the bench at this game are going to be bigs, because I could see a scenario where Kyrie and Luka play 45 minutes, and you have to keep Jaylen and Jayson on them that entire time too.
Kid hasn't had them out there. They've been around the 41, 42 minute. But like I said, it's the finals, so maybe that changes. But I know one of them will be out there each time. But he's rested Kyrie more than he's rested Luka, though. I'll say that so far, what I've seen. So we'll see.
Okay.
But Dave, I know you just have to wait for a second. But Neemias Queta, what do you think about him maybe being someone that could be a part of the series? Gafford and Lively have been rim threats really all playoffs. And that's become a new kind of wrinkles to Dallas' offense. So he's more athletic, obviously, than Cornet. So what do you think about him being in that role for like 5 to 6 minutes? Nothing too major, but just 5 to 6 minutes just to give Al a quick spell if possible.
I guess, like Mike said, it's dependent on Porzingis's availability, but additionally for a final series, especially against the team we're about to play, I'm sorry, we have to shorten the rotation. Like I ideally don't want to see Luke Cornet out there really at all. I think those 5 or 6 minutes, and I've been pretty complimentary of him, by the way, for this playoffs, but I think those 5 or 6 minutes should maybe go to him. Maybe. But ideally it's Al. I really like the fact that I don't know if you guys saw, we finally did that fucking small ball thing I've been asking for. It worked really well. We were forced into it, but it worked really, really well. I think we can do that, because I think then we can still switch the wings onto Luka and then funnel Kyrie into the buzzsaw that is Jrue Holiday and Derek White. I think that they should have like a tandem guarding situation on them. And then it's like, yeah, the rim threat of those guys, okay, but if the forwards are where I want them to be, then they should be there to make plays on them, right? Like they should be there to sort of try to protect the rim. And if Tatum's in the right place, and if Brown's running after his guys and staying in front of them as much as possible, we shouldn't really need like anybody to really like live around the rim like that in theory, right? I see what you're saying, but I don't know. In a finals with Joe Mazzulla being our coach, I don't know if I want to be running any kind of hypotheticals against this guy.
I mean, but I think all things kind of have to be on the table. I just think, to me, like they're not in a position where you could leave anything off the table at this moment. I think that, and we're getting into strategy here, but to speak about Dallas's, role players, I would say the weak link is probably Derrick Jones Jr. Offensively, anyways. Like defensively, he's really good, and another former Miami Heat that we'll be facing. So you can rest assured that he's going to have a game where he gets about 18 in the series for sure. But him and PJ Washington have been amazing, right, for them, right? And their 3-point shooting has been above average. And at some point, it has to be a regress to the mean, right? Because they're not known as someone that really shoots that well, mainly those two anyways. They are getting Kleber back. I think Kleber came back tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not watching it, but he was due to come back tonight. Kleber is another stretch for them that comes off the bench, and that allows them not to play Dwight Powell, who, Mavs fans in general hate. And I noticed that my brothers down there, they cannot stand Dwight Powell. So I know they're happy, ecstatic that Max Kleber is back. So yeah, I don't know. I just think, to me, nothing should be off the table. But I get the shorter rotations. I totally get that. Like, I think both teams would not go more than 8 deep tops. But like I said, you have to try something. But like I said, if Porzingis is there, like I said, that changes everything.
If
Obviously,
Porzingis is healthy, I would like a
so.
6-man rotation.
Well, that's essentially what it would be, right? Because obviously it would be the 5, and then obviously Al. I'd be okay with still having pushed out there for a few minutes. Like, once again, he's going to be out there. I guess either Josh Green, or Jaylen Hardy, and I felt like he can hold his own against one of those two guys. Like, I'm not worried about that in that regard. But obviously, I wouldn't have them out there for any Kyrie or Luka minutes, because this is not going to be a JJ Barea in 2011. Once again, if he does, then hey, by all means, you can rest assured we'll be racing the championship. Because JJ Barea turned around that series back then, but one can only hope. So let's just kind of we just kind of went into it, but I want to end with this for both of you to give your thoughts on this. But just what are your keys to bringing home banner 18? So Mike, I'll start with you.
I mean, you got to play the same level of defense that you were playing in the final stretch of minutes here against Indy, and you got to play that consistently, because Kyrie, what I've seen, like, he is reborn. Like, this is not the Kyrie that we saw. This is the one that Brooklyn had. He's completely invested in being a professional, making Luka better, making all the right decisions on the court. Like, I love the fact that he missed a free throw. Next possession, comes back and drains a fucking 3. Like, he's got it in his veins right now, right? So, like, they're going to be tough. My biggest fear is that Tatum or Brown, because Brown and Kyrie are really close, is that he's going to try and match that and be that guy. Don't do any of those things. Just play Celtics team basketball. If you do that, you will win this series. Like, if everyone is healthy, even without KP, if you buy in the way that you have, it appears the last 2 series, and just share, right, make the right pass, make the right read, take the open shot, they're gonna win the series. So, like, don't be a hero. Just please, like, it's right there for you guys. Just fucking relax and do what got you here. Like, you're a 64 win team. You're fine.
I think a lot of what the Mavs did to the Wolves was they got in their heads a little bit. It's a young team. Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert are mental midgets, so they were able to just sort of psych them out of this series, because those guys are super dumb and bad. So I would hope the Celtics don't let that happen. Defend their X factors and don't worry about their role players, I think, would be my strategy from the jump. I think we have the capabilities to limit Luka, and the capabilities names are Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. I think we should be playing committee defense with those two guys on Luka. I think that we should take his offensive threat really, really, really seriously. If we say about either Kyrie or Luka, well, we'll live with whatever he does, we'll try to stop this other guy, we won't live with that. I promise you. Either of those guys can murder you at any given time. They're both absolute killers. Let the guards deal with Kyrie, but still filter him onto the forwards the way that at sometimes he was well defended in this playoffs, which is like, you just have a guy slide and be in front of him. He's not going to be able to jump over anybody. He finishes really well around the rim when they get space and he's able to get there. We have to just dominate the paint. We have to dominate the paint against these guys. I understand why you're getting at, like, certain rotation questions because of that, but the paint domination needs to come at all levels. We need our guards rebounding better than their guards. We need Our forwards rebounding better than their guards. We need, we need to prevent them from using the bags of tricks that they've used against Minnesota to come out and make the series theirs, because I don't think that they're the better team here either. But they're finding ways to win, and that's a team. I mean, I saw Golden State do it. Like that was a team that should not have been in the finals by all appropriate measures going into that final series. We were the favorites on talent, just like now. So use the lessons that you hopefully learn from that Golden State series. Realize you're not playing Steph Curry on a mission, but it is going to be a really big challenge, and it's going to be the biggest challenge so far of these playoffs. And you can't wilt. It's not going to be acceptable. You can let your teammates lift you up, like we've talked about, but I need at least one game from Jayson Tatum where he just like lets Luka Doncic know that like he's not here to fuck around. Like that needs to happen. Defensively, we just need to be really, really, really switched on. I think that's going to be the most important thing. All of our offense comes from our defense anyway, so I would have said that regardless, but this is one of the best offensive backcourts I've ever seen. I think it evens out enough over the rest of the positions in the court where we're a lot better, especially with Porzingis, et cetera, et cetera. But man, this backcourt's lethal. We got to put our forwards on them. We got to slow them down. We have to. They're going to get theirs from time to time, but we can't. The game plan can't be to have that happen on purpose.
Right. No, totally agree. I think for me, it starts with ball movement. I think that you cannot get stagnant offensively. I think that if you,
well, we're gonna.
Yeah. No, I know, but I'm like, it's like, if you have, once again, if you lose it at 80% of the time, you should be good, right? I think that that's something where they like I said, they showed it towards the end, right? Of the Indiana series where they moved the ball, they had people flying around. That's where the open shots came from. So ball movement, it starts with that. Then just defensively, stick to your principles, stick to the assignments. Like I said, to me, I'm sagging off Derrick Jones. I just am. That's just where I'm at. Once again, he's gonna have to show me. You have to show me to shoot that guy. Everyone else, is going to draw attention, but I'm like, if there's a guy you can sag off on their starting five, it's him. And then, 3, you do not blitz like you saw in Minnesota blitz. They're going to get around the blitzing, and it's going to leave Gafford Lively open at the rim. You have to just guard your yard. You just do. And once again, it's going to be tough because these guys are excellent ball handlers, excellent playmakers. Do not blitz on a pick and roll. As Dave Dog is letting us know, you got to have that dog. You do not fuck up on defense, please. you've got to find a way. So if that happens, and I want to bring up, because obviously we spoke about it like for a split second. So obviously, unfortunately, we had lost Celtic legend Bill Walton. He was a part of the '86 team, who most people around here think that the '86 Celtics team was probably the greatest Celtics team of all time. They went 67-15. They sweep the Bulls in the first round. They beat a really good Cleveland team 4-1 in the second round. They sweep Milwaukee in the finals, and then they beat Houston in 6 after Houston had beat the LA Lakers with this guy named Magic Johnson. This seems like a similar run. It just does. Once again, obviously, we weren't around to see it, but just from looking at the stats, looking at the numbers, they ran through the East at that time. And yes, they'd already won a couple at that time. They were crowned their third ring at that time. But this feels like that. So if you play your game, at the end of the day, you should be walking away with the championship. So, being 18, it's time. It's showtime. Go get it. Like Mike Gorman said, go out there and win the damn thing. So for money, Mike Marcangelo, my guy DK Sizzle, been 18. Let's get it. It's on the way. We'll see you. Peace.